This video I am making is for my final assessment for the literacy middle school class I'm finishing up. What I can take away from this class from the beginning is a lot. Walking into this class, into an online setting, was a lot different than I expected to, but classmates, the teacher, all helped us through this and made it as positive outcome as we can, regardless of being online every week and doing all these assignments weekly. Walking into this first day of class, I really didn't know that much about literacy middle school techniques or any techniques with reading, but walking out of this class, I feel like I have a better understanding. And once I took the first week of the Zoom class, basically this video is I'm going to explain the things that I took away from this class and things that I can better myself in future teachings, whether it be teaching online or be coming back in the classroom. Time will tell. What I can take away is we learned about is the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of reading instructions. I felt that was very, very key, and we had that a couple slides. And at first, I was like, it looked really familiar to me, and maybe it was shown like when I was in a middle school or elementary schools. But the 5 pillars are key in how you structure out like a plan with a student, and that was very helpful, and to get the different definitions, the different reasons of why. And I also wrote a reflection paper on that because I thought that was very helpful for people who are going into education. Like you need to know the 5 pillars. The next thing was lesson planning. I've been lesson planning like little by little. This was probably the most advanced that I have made a lesson plan. It was based on Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It was just basically doing three lesson plans on what I'd like to do, like different activities, different things that I would like the students to do. The first one was like a read aloud one. Second one was phonics and vocabulary, and third one was a fun like read aloud, but I did some different things than I did for the past. In my head, I was processing this for like maybe like 4 months. I don't know. Depends on how we get the book. I understand we have 5 days in 5 days during the school week, but I was just trying to process out in my head, how I would do it. So I tried to incorporate them as I can. I did multiple chapters in the lesson plan, but I wanted to finish out strong with the lesson plan. But while I was making it, I got a feel of this is what you have to do. You got to find the standard. You got to find the activity. You got to find how are you going to get through these students, in what way, and activity, small group, large group. And I feel like the lesson plan definitely helped me to improve for further lesson plans. What I took away is the 3 cueing systems: meaning, structure, and visual. And that's also was key because you have to have the 3 cues to understand how a student can be taught, and what can you do to do it. So seeing the 3 cues system, it was helpful in my end, and it was great to know that information. I learned throughout this class about all these new vocabulary words. Some vocabulary words that I probably have came across either while I was in school or just came upon and just really didn't know fully definitions or my own definitions. And I kind of liked it that we as a class had the opportunity to write down our own definitions, or definitions that we can put into our own words, or even find a picture. And I thought that was helpful. It was probably maybe like 30 to 40 vocabulary words, and that will be helpful, as Wendy said, our teacher, that we go for the 4th test because you have to know all these words, and then some other stuff to go along with the 4th test. That's the reading one, and I haven't signed up yet, but I probably will within a year, and to know all the materials. And Wendy has helping us out, trying to say this is going to be on the test, this is not, and she said she'll be there for us if we need more clarification on some things, and that is great to know, because that's a big test I've been hearing, but I don't know the full thing. But it was good to know the vocabulary words, the terminology, and what we need to know in our part. I also thought, like, she always mentioned about what is literacy to you, and I thought that was a great question for us to process, because literacy, I thought, was totally different, but everybody has their own opinion on what literacy is. And you just have to make your own definition of literacy and how it is going to affect your teaching life or your life in general. I was looking back at some of the slideshows, and I saw one. The slide was called UDL, University Design for Learning. It had three keys that I can take out of this. Is the first one was the why of learning, the what of learning, and the how of learning. The why of learning is, why are we teaching these kids this, and what can we and what can we get the why out, and like, this is why we're doing it. The what are we doing? The what is, like, could be a small group activity, a large group activity. What are we trying to get the students to learn in that? And then the how of learning. How are we going to get students to do it? It could be like a Kahoot game. It could be like a technology game. It could be some type of thing that we can get to learn. So I figured that the UDL thing was great for me, because I like to be like a creative learner, and like to create things like in my head, or things that I have found like at Pinterest, or other friends who are teachers, and give me some good things to work with, and to have your classroom lively. Students are different. They process different, and we want to make sure that we want to have different learning styles for them to accommodate. Some students like to read at their desk. Some students like to read like on the floor. We gotta accommodate your learning at the best ability, so we can get through to them whatever we are teaching, whatever lesson we have, math, science, social studies, religion. So I have to figure out a way so they can understand it. I also, like, one of the projects that we had to do was balance literacy, and we had to, make our own thing of what we feel like balanced literacy is. And looking at all the examples, I feel like with all the classmates, like, we had a good thing. Like, we can make whatever we want. Like, teaching is creative. We would have to be creative in a way, for us to understand the material, and for us to process the material, so we can move on in this program. The one thing that I am all learning about is running records. Running records is a thing that I've never have been like talked about before I entered my school job at the beginning of last year's school year. It's a way that you can teach your students, but it's a reading assessment of your students, of where they are. You can look at the errors, you can look at the structure, you can look at what it is, where were they struggling at, what word did they have trouble with. And the writing record is not a bad thing. It's just telling you where you are in the level of reading, and what areas you need to improve on. And I feel like in time, once I practice doing them, I will have a good feel of, and comfortable feel of doing it with students, and having more like advice from teachers, friends who are in the field about this is what on record is, this is what you should do, or this is what you should do. Have some advice of writing records, so I can be comfortable to do it. But it's only my first year at a school, and this is my first time in the program, so I feel like I'll have time to do it. The last thing I was going to talk about was inquiry-based learning. The four key opponents I can take away from this is students develop questions, research the topic using time in class, have students present what they learned, and have students reflect on what they worked. And I feel like that's key. We want students to develop questions. We want students to research the topics. We want students to present what they learned and students to reflect on what they worked. And you just have to be like, be with students like, is this your best work? What do you have questions on? We want to guide them in a way that they will understand the material and understand what is needed to be done. And again, a lot of teachers have different teaching styles. I don't know what my teaching style is going to be yet, but I can also picture a classroom with imaginary kids, and I can try my best to do what a possible way, but I will try every possible way to get through to these students to make sure they can be inspired. They can think back, oh, hey, this is what I learned today at school. I thought this class was great. Literacy middle school class. Wendy did a great job being online. And what I can take away from it is I learned a lot. I learned a lot that I didn't know before. And doing these videos, these feedbacks are definitely helping us for the future, whatever the futures hold. And that is my takeaway from the class.